Here's something interesting about the Nets. Okay. So the salary floor is $139 million. Did you know about the salary floor? Basically, you have to spend 90% of the salary cap, which is $139 million. The Nets aren't doing that. I used Sport Tracker to figure out how much money every team is spending, okay? And you know what's annoying to me? Basketball Reference is behind. And I put all these teams in order based on how high their payroll was using Basketball Reference. And then I saw that Basketball Reference isn't up to date. And Sport Tracker had the right order. So I had to redo the order. So Basketball Reference... So anyway, the Nets have to spend money. I was thinking about this. Not only do they have to spend money, but they have to spend a lot of money. Because they need to get to $139 million before the season starts. This is my cat. Someone wanted to see my cat. There. Now she feels supported. So, I'm wondering about this Cam Thomas thing. And part of me thinks the leverage that Cam Thomas has, because we're all thinking Cam Thomas doesn't have any leverage. He's this restricted free agent. He doesn't get any offers from anybody, okay? Nobody's offering him any money. But the thing is, if we do the math on this, the Nets have to spend $30-some million. Or maybe I'm wrong, $26 million. So part of me thinks Cam Thomas can just come to the Nets and say, hey, I know y'all got to spend money. I know you can't enter the season lower than $139 million and you're only at 114. So part of me is kind of curious, unless there's other deals going on, or maybe the rookies haven't signed their deals yet. Maybe they're still negotiating those, or there's more money coming in. But as of right now, the Nets need to pay somebody, and it might as well be Cam Thomas, is my thought. Because their next big contracts are Michael Porter Jr., Claxton with $25 million, and Terrence Mann with $16 million. Somebody's got to spend some money for the Nets. So I don't know what's going to happen. I do like the Nets moves, though. I really do appreciate Joe Tsai and Sean Marks operate like I would. I would be the nastiest GM. I would be all business. I would never do any type of signing or extension to ingratiate myself to a star. I would be all business. And the stars would be like, I hate Joseph Bertoft. I think I would go by Joseph if I had a real job. I used to have a real job. And I'd introduce myself as Joseph, because if you're going to write, this is the thing. For my younger listeners, as you go into the workforce, maybe you're in college, never put anything but your government name on a resume in any type of tax information. If anyone's going to write you a check, never put anything but your government name that could end up on that check. Word to the wise. Chicago Bulls. So the Chicago Bulls, they are a team that is over the salary floor. They did it. But the Bulls do not want to spend money, which is crazy to me. Reinsdorf is like, it's Reinsdorf, right? Jerry Reinsdorf? I think he's the owner of the team, owns the Chicago White Sox as well. I remember years ago, he wrote a letter to the White Sox fans basically apologizing for how bad the team was. Do you remember this? I thought that was so funny. It's like, dude, don't apologize. Just make a better team. Just be better or sell the team. I don't want to know you're sorry. It's irrelevant to me. Just have a better team. One of the worst teams in baseball of all time. Bulls could be the same way because the Bulls haven't done anything. They got Vooch. And I heard on the street once and I heard on the street twice now that Vooch is trying to get a buyout. Which is crazy to me because if they do end up getting a buyout, it'll be for quite a bit of money and that money will count toward the salary cap. But in theory, maybe they could end up below the salary floor too, depending on how large the Vooch buyout is. I think he sticks it out there though. But look how measly the Bulls have a lot of guys on decent contracts, okay? They don't have any real, $21 million is the highest paid player on the Bulls. Granted, they're also going to have Josh Giddey, I assume. He's going to sign a contract. He just hasn't signed a contract yet, so it doesn't count on the books. And he'll be the highest paid Chicago Bull, right? Assuming he's going to get more than 21 million, I would assume. We'll see. But either way, the Bulls have a pretty widespread roster. Obviously, they got a lot of young guys, but, you know, Zach Collins making 18 million. That's crazy. Zach Collins, man. I didn't even know he was still in the league. Herter making 18 million. Patrick Williams, making 18 million. Sorry, Bulls fans. I think I took the under on the Bulls. I think they were at 30 wins this year is what Vegas was saying, and I took the under. It seems like an obvious under to me. I think I can move on from this. No tax bill. All right, so the Jazz. I can't believe they're paying people so much. Yusuf Nurkic is their second highest paid player, which is so funny. I forgot he got traded there. We never figured out why Yusuf Nurkic got traded to the Jazz. Because I think the Jazz had to give up 2 second-round picks. They gave up 2 second-round picks in Colin Sexton for Yusuf Nurkic, which is the strangest trade of all time. I thought it was a part of a larger LeBron trade, right? That was my theory. That was the only way it made sense to me, because why would the Jazz give up any assets for any player if they're not trying to win? I assumed it was part of a larger deal that was to come, because it made no sense to me. So now their second highest paid player is Yusuf Nurkic, and then they got Lauri Markkanen, which I assume they're going to trade. Not a lot happening here for the Jazz. They're just trying to lower their bill. Why pay a lot of money for a team that's going to suck? I don't know. These teams are making me sad. Washington Wizards, really what they got is they've got guys on rookie contracts. They've got guys on rookie contracts, and then they got these big, chunky contracts that they're trying to get rid of. They're trying to get rid of Chris Middleton, the $33 million. They're trying to get rid of C.J. McCollum at $31 million. And then Corey Kispert, man, I imagine he's got to want out, right? He's got to be sick of it there, I assume. I mean, he's been there for ages. I remember when he got drafted. I don't remember what year he got drafted, but I remember him and Poole did not get along at first. I remember them openly fighting out on the court. So maybe he's happy to be there. I know Jordan Poole's gone. I don't know. I have no idea. Okay. The Pistons, interesting. Interesting that they're so... Okay, the bill is high. They're obviously over the salary cap, but they could have re-signed Schroeder, which is odd to me. Do you think they would have re-signed Schroeder had they known Malik Beasley was going to go to fucking prison? I don't know. I think they would have, right? Because they could have. I think they had his bird rights to some degree. I think they had his bird rights. Maybe they could have paid him, I think, what the Kings gave him. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think they would have picked him up because they are a good team, and they might want to dip in a little bit further. They could have signed him and not even been a tax team. So Robinson's making $17 million, which feels a little bit high. Duncan Robinson, it shows you how much shooting threes is worth in the NBA, because even remember he signed that Miami Heat deal. I think he was getting $20 million a year, and we're like, well, that's a little high. Now he became a free agent, and he signed another deal, and we say, that seems a little high. Maybe it's not. Maybe just shooting threes is a valuable commodity in the NBA. Then they got Karis LeVert, Isaiah Stewart. Those guys, I think they signed LeVert as a free agent. This is when it comes down to basketball technicalities that I don't really know. Why would you prefer a guy like Karis LeVert over Dennis Schroeder? I don't know, because they're getting paid the same amount. I believe Schroeder's getting paid $14 million as well. So you tell me. I know Karis LeVert, he's sort of the guy that everyone says he can go out and get you 27 in a game. You never know. He's got the potential. And I'm like, okay. He could do it. Sure. And then Tobias Harris, he has one more year on that contract. Good for Toby. I am so grateful, because Sixers fans hated Tobias Harris. They just wanted that contract to be over so soon. He goes to a team, the Sixers don't make the playoffs, and the Pistons do, and he plays on that team, and he gets paid handsomely. Tobias Harris has to be he seems like a more enlightened man than I. But if I were Tobias Harris, I would have been like, are you happy now, Philly? Are you happy I'm not on your team anymore? Did you get what you wanted, bitch? I would love it. The Warriors, this is another one where they can sign Kuminga. Listen, Joe Lacob's got money. He's not even in the tax anymore. They're not paying any tax. And we want the Warriors to be good for Steph. He's got a couple more years, and we want to provide the best team possible. It's like, okay, well then figure something out with Kuminga. Figure out a sign and trade. Like, or just sign him. Pay some fucking luxury tax and have him on your bench, but pay him Pay him whatever you can and just hold him on the bench making loads of money. He'll be upset, but he'll be rich. He won't care. But Joe Lacob, it's like, yeah, we want to have the best possible team, but no owner ever wants to say, my main motivation is to make money and be profitable and stay rich. It's true, but you can't say it. You can't admit it. Because otherwise they just would have been like, yeah, Kuminga, here's whatever, $25 million a year. 4-year contract, sign it. If you're cool with maybe not getting as much playing time as you think you're going to, but being rich, here you go. Kuminga will be like, man, I want to play. I'm still signing this contract. He would get a $25 million offer for 4 years, player option at the end, and say, yeah, I want to play. You better play. And Lacob could say, we might play you. I don't know. I'm not making any promises. Kerr might be like, yeah, we'll see how you fit in the rotation. But understand, if you're signing this $100 million contract, it's under the understanding that we're going to just be holding you as an asset and maybe get some time. He'd say, but I'm going to get some playing time, right? He'd say, no, not necessarily. And he'd say, fine, I'll still sign it because it's so much money. But I got a feeling Lacob isn't offering him. Lacob and Mike Dunleavy, who's making the call here? There's so many owners and so many front office staff. I feel like, do you think they're overstaffed in the front office? I mean, how many people do you need to make decisions? I don't know if there are a lot of administrative tasks, but how many people do you need in the boardroom? How many cooks do you need in the kitchen? I always think this with general managers, like vice president of basketball operations, general manager, president of development. I always kind of wonder on a day-to-day how many tasks they're actually doing. That's me calling out people for not working hard. It's kind of my thing. Okay, so Memphis, looking at this, I can kind of understand why they got rid of Desmond Bane and then got a Cole-Anthony and cut him, because they are pushing the tax threshold. So I think Bane's contract went on for a very long time, and I forget, the guy that owns Memphis is like the FedEx guy. I think he owns FedEx, or he owns like a cell phone company in China. I don't know. My point being, he isn't Daddy Warbucks. So I think he was trying to save some cash. I think a lot of teams like Memphis, and a lot of teams can do it. Oklahoma City just did it. They won a championship without getting into the tax and hadn't really paid tax in a really long time. So I think Memphis is one of those teams, if you're a Grizzlies fan, you're going to have to win a championship without being in the tax, which makes it more difficult. Because I think they were approaching the tax with that Desmond Bane contract, and they didn't want to pay it. I think that's really what was happening. Because they have a pretty big bill with all these guys. And now Jaren Jackson, that's right, because Jaren Jackson Jr. signed an extension. So I think with the overlapping of that Desmond Bane contract and this new Jaren Jackson extension and John Morant, it was probably looking like they were going to be in the luxury tax, possibly second apron. I think Jaren Jackson's contract was pretty big. So I think that was the problem here. So if you're a Memphis fan, it sucks to be you, because your team is never going to go into the tax. Unless they already have in the past, then I'm a liar. But it feels that way. Small market team that just is going to have to do it without getting into the tax. The Bucks, I thought their payroll would be higher, considering it was really, supposedly, it was just really Dame's contract. Because the thing is, this is what sucks about this team. The total payroll is $171 million. But a lot of that, so the biggest contracts, we got Giannis, Miles Turner at $25 million, Kuzma at $21, and then Bobby Portis at $13. It feels sort of like, whoa, There aren't a lot of big contracts on this team, but how are they at $171 million? $22 million for the next 5 years is going to be counted on their books because of the Dame wave and stretch. So that's the problem here. That's the issue. And that's what sucks about being on the Bucks, is they don't want to dip into the tax. No team wants to dip into the tax. Listen, I got the second apron up here, but in my opinion, the second apron is a boogeyman to exist for the for the owners of the team governors to say, ooh, the second apron, we want to stay away from the second apron because we lose our flexibility. Bro, it isn't about the second apron. The second apron is just a nice little boogeyman to blame and say, ooh, I want to be able to maintain my flexibility. I want to be able to make some moves and use my biannual exception and do some trades before the deadline. And I can't be in the second apron if I want to do that. Bro, if you're in the second apron, your team should be good enough to win a championship. All right? You're not going to be making any moves. Nobody wants to get into the second apron because if you're in the second apron, it means you're paying tons in luxury tax. So when they negotiated the second apron, and I've said it before, but all the owners came together and they said, we need something to cap the amount of spending. Because even if you're an owner like Steve Ballmer, okay, you're an owner like Steve Ballmer or Dan Gilbert, you're going to, and the other owner is saying, hey, we need to throttle the amount of spending, okay? And I know you're in a position where you can pay a lot of money, Dan Gilbert, but at the same time, at some point, you're going to not want these stars come knocking for millions and millions of dollars. And you're going to need a reason to not upset the fan base. And this second apron is a nice way to not upset the fan base. Because when Jarrett Allen's contract's up and he's coming looking for tons of money, you can say, second apron. And he said, well, you can still sign it and we'll be in the second apron. Who cares? But the flexibility. And then the fans come and they say, hey, we would like Jarrett Allen. I think I've used this example before. But the fans come and they say, we love Jarrett Allen. You can't get rid of Jarrett Allen. Second apron. And then the fans who don't really know what the second apron is or what it means, because when you have to explain the second apron, you have to explain mid-level exception. You have to explain aggregating contracts. And the fans are like, I don't want to learn about that stuff. I guess we can't re-sign Jarrett Allen, and that's fine. I guess I don't need to know the reasons because I don't want to learn about that stuff. Fair. Hornets are summer league champions. Okay. $176 million on the Hornets. It's an expensive team, bruh. They gotta be. Who are they gonna shed? They're gonna have to shed some people. All right. They're not gonna be able to shed Colin Sexton. Why? Nobody likes small guards. All right. That's the thing. Maybe the Jazz got rid of him. Maybe the Jazz got rid of Colin Sexton because they thought, hey, at the trade deadline, someone will want Yusuf Nurkic. They're going to need a backup big, and they're going to come begging for Yusuf Nurkic. Maybe they're not, but they're more likely to come asking for Yusuf Nurkic than they are Colin Sexton, a baby guard. No one's going to want it. But LaMelo Ball, it's a trade chip. I'm sorry, Hornets fans, but he might become a trade chip. $38 million. I believe he has an extension after that, too. I could be wrong, though. Miles Bridges. Who takes a dare on Miles Bridges is the question. What organization says, we'll try it, we'll do it, we'll see how the fan base reacts? Because listen, people change. People contain multitudes, all right? But I've never like cheered for someone who I knew beat the shit out of his baby mama and then threw a cue ball at his baby mama's windshield. I've never been like, yeah, go, in any context, not for throwing the cue ball, but just in general. And I think most fans feel a little bit weird when they find out what he done did and then buying a jersey. And I think Hornets fans are like, he's our domestic abusing baby. He's a domestic abusing baby, but he's our domestic abusing baby. So, yeah, it's weird to be a Hornets fan. Spurs are okay. I think this team is going to be really good, and then I think once they actually start playing around in the tax, I think is when this team is going to get exceptional. All right. Personally, Devin Vassell, they're going to try to get rid of Devin Vassell. They're going to have to give away some picks for him, I think. They may just keep him. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think they like Harrison Barnes. I think they like Kelly Olynyk. I think they're okay with these contracts. All right. But I can see this. I can see Dylan Harper and I forgot Keldon Johnson was on this team. I think Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell are not long for this team. And here's what's going to happen. You're either going to have to give up Stephen Castle or Dylan Harper if you're going to get rid of Vassell and Keldon Johnson. You're going to have to come up with a trade. You're either going to have to get rid of picks or you're going to have to get rid of talent to get rid of some of these players who are on expensive contracts and aren't good enough to be on your championship winning Spurs team. Spurs fans, you know it's true. So I think that's what's going to happen. You can either give up picks or you can give up Stephen Castle or Dylan Harper. Or the Spurs can just go into the tax because they're pushing it, man. And then, Wembanyama is going to hit his extension. So what are you going to do? De'Aaron Fox just signed an extension. I don't know how many years are left on the Vassell contract, though. These are just things to think about. Right now, I think some moves need to be made by the Spurs to ensure that they have a good future. Really what you got to do is, and you got blessed. You got blessed that you can just trade a Stephen Castle. You can just trade a Dylan Harper. Because those are worth more than future picks. Because Dylan Harper's going to be good. Stephen Castle was Rookie of the Year. Something to think about. Okay, so the Pacers, I think they're going to shed contracts. Listen, I liked them not re-signing Miles Turner. I understand. Because look, if they would have re-signed Miles Turner, they would have been in the tax, man. They would have been a luxury tax team. Because they're pushing it anyway. They're $6 million away from being a luxury tax team. If they'd re-signed, they would have been paying a lot in luxury tax. That's the thing. And they want to re-sign Benedict Mathurin. They want to be available to re-sign him. Because that's the direction I believe they're going. Evidently, Benedict Mathurin is going to start this year. So, I get it. You're like, we're not going to win a championship. If you don't believe you're going to win a championship, you shouldn't pay luxury tax. That's sort of the way I feel about it. You got to figure out a way to be under the luxury tax. You might as well try to just be above. You should be in that nice little gray area but over the salary cap, but not in the luxury tax. I think that's where every team kind of wanted to exist. Because you can go over the cap, but you don't have to pay any luxury tax because you're not that far over the cap. And there's a pretty big, that's a pretty big line, man. $154 million to $187 million. You got over $30 million to play around in without being penalized. So I get it with the Pacers. You don't go in the luxury tax if you know you're not going to win. Your best player's not playing this year. You're not going to win the championship, bruh. Are the Pacers going to win without Halliburton? No. Don't go into the tax. And I understand. You're like, yeah, but we lost Miles Turner for the next couple years when Halliburton is back. I know. Don't make me say it. Miles Turner's old. Okay, Atlanta pushing. Now we're in the teams that are just like, ooh, we do not want to pay luxury tax, but we'll get as close. They like to flirt. They like, they like to flirt with the luxury tax. Because the Hawks got some big contracts, man. They still got Trae Young, who I believe is extension eligible. I think he's kind of upset that he hasn't got extended. But listen, Landry Fields and Landry Jones. One of them used to be the GM for the Atlanta Hawks. One of them used to be a backup quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think some days Landry Fields wakes up and wonders, am I Landry Jones? Did I used to play quarterback for the Steelers? Landry Fields, Hawks. Landry Jones, Steelers. I think I'm right about that. But he's not the GM there anymore. I don't know who is. I think they fired him this season or last season. I don't remember. But they got Kristaps, Trae Young, Jalen Johnson. Those are their big contracts. They signed Alexander Walker this offseason. So they've got big contracts, and I think they got some big plans. Everybody's healthy. I like this team, and I like how close they are to the luxury tax. Because listen, The thing is, if I put myself in the shoes of these owners, I'm not going to want to pay luxury tax. That's just the truth. That's just the way it is. I'm not going to want to pay luxury tax. I can't go and pretend that I would spend lots of money if I was an owner. Because, listen, NBA owners didn't get rich by wasting money. Okay. It's unbelievable how... Okay, so Joe Dumars shows up and he sees this payroll. And he's like, wow, we're almost in luxury tax. Joe Dumars is the new president of operations. He's the new manager of people in the Pelicans organization. I don't know if he's the general manager or vice president of basketball operations. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But he shows up and he's like, whoa, we're really paying people a lot of money. We must be really good, right? We must be awesome. Granted, he was the, he was a front office guy at the NBA. So he knows the Pelicans. But he comes in and he's like, wow, so we're really going for it, huh? We're spending a lot of money. So we better go ahead and try to win. Derek Queen. Let's make all sacrifices for Derek Queen. That pick's going to suck anyway, if you remember about the trading picks or giving away the pick to the Atlanta Hawks for Derek Queen. He's saying, we're going to be awesome. We're paying so much money, we have to be good. There's no way anyone would spend almost in the luxury tax for a team that's not going to be championship bound. And someone at the Pelicans organization had to be like, we've made a lot of mistakes. And listen, my paychecks say Pelicans on them, and I'm going to tell you, this team is not winning a championship next year. Because they got Zion, they got Poole, they got DeJounte, they got Trey Murphy. Those are their big contracts. Let me ask you, is Zion tradable? No. Is Poole tradable? No. Is DeJounte Murray tradable? No. Trey Murphy, the only asset. Herb Jones and Trey Murphy are the only assets you have that people are really interested in. The thing is, if you're a Pelican front office member, you're going to say, those are the only guys we like. We like those guys. We can't trade them. Does anyone... So, really, you have no trades. So, I understand the Joe Dumars sense of, hey, this is my team. And I'm going to squint really hard, and I'm going to say, oh my God. Oh, Lord. I think I see a championship team. Meanwhile, everyone around him is like, no, don't squint that hard. Come on, man. That is not a championship team. We need to prepare for the future. There's no point in preparing for the future, dude. Who cares? Go for it. I love it. I love the Joe Dumars move. He thinks Dairy Queen, Blizzard is going to save. They need to call him the Blizzard, dude. And I know it's a stretch. Dairy Queen, Blizzard, Dilly Pop. Just pick a dessert from Dairy Queen. Call him that. Wow, the Kings are paying a lot of money. I think we're in the same territory as we were with the Pelicans, where it's like, whoa, Zach LaVine, whoa, $46 million, Sabonis, $42 million, DeMar DeRozan, $25, Malik, $19, and then Schroeder coming in at $14 million. Oh, man, I don't know. The thing is, I actually do think Sabonis is tradable. That's the nice thing that this team has. Zach LaVine is not tradable. Zach LaVine, they got some assets for in that De'Aaron Fox deal. And so I kind of liked it. I'm like, all right, yeah, whatever. Take on Zach LaVine's contract. Let him get out of Chicago. Change of scenery. I love Sacramento. I love going there. It's a nice place. I'm sure Zach LaVine is very happy there. So I think the trading Sabonis is probably the move. I think the Kings had been sucky for so long. I think they're still in that mindset of, remember when we made the playoffs? Remember when we broke that playoff drought? It can't be over. Certainly it wasn't just one trip to the playoffs and a first round exit. Surely there's more that we have from this run. But eventually they're going to get to the point. No, they're not. They're not going to get to the point. Because really what they should do is they should get to the trade deadline and they should shop around Sabonis. And they'll probably get something pretty good for him. I'm high on Sabonis. I think he's a great player. A lot of people don't agree with me. But the problem that this team has run into is they're paying too much money to a team that's not good enough. That's the issue. The Sixers are interesting to me. They're really flirtatious. They're asking for the luxury tax threshold number, you know. They're doing everything but, you know. They're like, hey, what are you doing after this? Type shit. 185 million. They're like $1 million away from paying luxury tax. And the funny thing is, all their money is going to Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey. If you look at the rest of their contracts, there's like nothing left, right? Because this is basically, those three guys is basically the whole salary cap. Everything else on top is a little bit of Kyle Lowry, a little bit of Andre Drummond, a little bit of Eric Gordon, who I think is still there, a little bit of VJ Edgecombe. So they've got these guys where most of their resources are being spent, and these guys, if I've said it once, I've said it twice, they ain't got the juice. But they got their money. The Blazers, right? Crazy that they're like, what are we looking at? Less than $1 million? A little more than $1 million under the tax for the Blazers. Man, that Dame contract. I'm a heartless son of a bitch, dude. So when I saw that Dame was re-signing there, 3 years, $14 million a year, and a player option at the end, I'm a heartless son of a bitch because I just saw that and I'm like, that's stupid. That is stupid for the Portland Trail Blazers. But the thing is, basketball is about love. And if the fans of the Blazers are like, hell yeah, like, I don't care how big his contract is. I don't care that we're almost paying luxury tax. I don't care that's 3 years. I don't care that it's a player option at the end. He could just leave. Dame is back in Portland, and I'm happy now. Then what am I going to say to that? Great. Excellent signing. But bruh, you're the Blazers, and you're pushing the luxury tax. Granted, that Jeremy Grant contract, I don't know how much life's left on that. Drew Holiday, I think there's 2 more years left on both. So I think it's this year and then next year for Jeremy Grant and Drew Holiday. Okay, so there's not much time left on those contracts. Maybe I'm kind of coming around to it. I just didn't like the Dame signing is all I'm saying. And it's just weird that this team is so close to the luxury tax and they're not even close to winning a championship. That's my issue. Wild, right? Look how good this team is. So the real issue that I'm going to talk about here real quick is the fact that these don't have their contracts kicking, these like extensions, right? So your Jalen Williams, he's not even on this list because his contract is so low. He's going to pay like $3 million or something next year. And then Shea as well, getting paid $38 million next year. Caruso 18, again, Lou Dort 18. These guys are going to want more money. Holmgren's getting paid 14, and he's going to be in the, 30, 40 million when his extension kicks in. Shea's Supermax is going to kick in. So right now we're like, wow, they're doing everything without paying luxury tax. And it's thank God for these rookie scale contracts. Okay, because when Shea, Jalen Williams, and Chet's extensions all kick in, this team is going to be bled dry in luxury tax. It's going to be bad. So you can rest assured. And they might have even told Jalen Williams or Chet Holmgren this when they signed these extensions. They might have even said to them, hey, we love you. We appreciate what you're doing. We're going to sign you for the biggest amount we possibly can. But at the same time, you need to understand that one of you is getting traded before your extension kicks in. Because we don't have enough money to spend. Listen, we're really good. We got a great fan base here, but we're in Oklahoma City. This isn't Silicon Valley. We ain't got that type of money. You got to get out of here. So expect a trade for one of those guys. Shea ain't getting traded, that's for sure. So now we got the Suns. Crazy. We are in the team these are the teams that are just the tip. They're paying some tax. $821,000. Just a little dip. Just a little bit in the tax. Little tiny tax bill. Are they in the repeater tax? Yes, but it doesn't really matter because they're not paying that much. So they got Booker, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks. And then they also, the real issue here is they have the Bradley Beal contract, the dead cap. That's what it's called. If you didn't know what dead cap space is, it's basically the space that gets taken up on your books, but is for a player who's no longer under contract for you. That's what dead cap is. It's basically money you're spending on a player who doesn't play for you. Wasted money, theoretically. So I get it. They tried to shave off a lot. They should try to get under the luxury tax. I think that's what I'm sure they're hoping to do that because the Suns aren't going to win a championship this year. Even though Matt Ishbia's subconscious will get them under the luxury tax, because deep down he knows this team is not winning a championship, and he's going to want to get under the luxury tax so he doesn't hit the repeater tax again. That's just the fact of the matter. Owners can say whatever they want, but in reality, if they can save themselves money, they're going to do it. How are they going to do it? I don't know. They might trade Grayson Allen. They got options. I think ultimately what they want to do is they want to trade Jalen Green, but I don't. Who's calling? Okay, the Nuggets. Paying a little bit of tax. The Cronkies are paying a little bit of tax. Jokic, Murray, Aaron Gordon, Cam Johnson. Okay. Man, they got off that MPJ contract. I think that saved this team. They're a little bit in the tax. That's fine. I think they can tolerate that. You got the best player in the world. You can pay a little bit of tax for a while. The Brooklyn Nets saved you, took on MPJ's contract, gave you Cameron Johnson, who's just paid a lot less money, which gives you a lot more flexibility. Gave them the opportunity to get, Dennis Smith Jr., get Jonas Valanciunas. Pretty awesome. So they're not even that deep in the luxury tax. I don't know. It would be interesting to know. What I need to do is I need to do a video on every team owner and how much money they have. Because that could give us an idea of how much money they're willing to spend on luxury tax. I assume the Cronkies are I assume they're really rich. But the issue with the Cronkies is they don't really have any. I believe their business is sports, right? They own part of Liverpool, they own the Rams, they own the Avalanche, they own the Nuggets, they own other teams as well. So if they're going to go into luxury tax and they're going to actually take a loss on one of their franchises, why would they choose, what would make them want to choose the Nuggets over Liverpool, the Nuggets over the Los Angeles Rams, even though they can't really, you know what I'm saying. The Heat, insane. The Heat are paying luxury tax on a team that's not that good. IMO. Bam Adebayo, Andrew Wiggins, rough. A lot of people think that Andrew Wiggins is good and that they could trade him and get something. I don't believe that. Tyler Hero, bucket getter. That's about it, man. Terry Rozier, I don't even know. He might be in jail. I'm not sure. I'm not paying attention. Norm Powell, $20 million. It's too much. And again, this is the whole Pat Riley, we're never going to tank, we're never going to suck. Listen, you're an NBA team. You have to rebuild. It's part of the process. Every team has to do it. All right? Even the Spurs do it. Get over yourselves. You might be able to you can get some stuff for Bam. You might be able to trick somebody into thinking Wiggins is good. Tyler Hero. Somebody's going to want a $31 million contract. Terry Rozier, he's yours. He ain't going nowhere. Terry Rozier is going to be with you until the end of that contract. Norm Powell, you just traded for him, so you like him. You made the Norm Powell trade to put you in the luxury tax, bruh. For the Heat. I can't believe it, man. I cannot believe it. The Raptors are in the luxury tax. Did you know that? I had no idea. They got Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, and Jakob Poeltl, all making over $20 million a year. This is the wildest team. Listen, Raptors fans, I love you, but you're spending too much money. This is ridiculous. Brandon Ingram should have never signed an extension for $38 million. I believe it's 4 years. Come on. I'm not a negative Nancy, but that's bad. That is dumb. Why? I think Brandon Ingram's good, but he's hurt a lot, okay? And he's only going to get more hurt. He's only getting older. I'm just keeping it real, dude. And you know what? I'll get you a Best Buy gift card if Brandon Ingram just comes in 4-time All-Star the next 4 years for the Toronto Raptors. I will get you a Best Buy gift card for $100. How about that? I just will. But it's not going to happen. And you got Scotty Barnes because you're like, he's our future of our team. He's a young guy. He's got potential. I don't even hate that. But Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, I believe those were extensions that the Knicks gave them, if I'm not mistaken. I believe they're paid a lot of money because the Knicks thought they were going to be good, and then you took on those guys who I don't believe in. Jakob Poeltl, $20 million, give it to him. I'm fine with that. But the Raptors have just spent too much money. You get in this position where You're not good negotiators. You want to be liked. You don't want to tell a guy, hey, we kind of want to negotiate your price. We kind of want to get your price down. You don't want to say that. You want to say just like, we'll give you whatever you want. We just don't want to argue with you. We also don't want you to be salty. We're kind of afraid of you. So ultimately, I think with the Raptors, it's just bad negotiation. It's just they don't have a really good negotiator in there. Or they just, the people that own the team are like, spend money. Who cares? This isn't a money-making endeavor for us. Magic, taxpayers, love it. I'm into it. You don't mind going in the if you're going to trade that many first-round picks for Desmond Bane, and you think this is gonna be it, this is the final piece of your team, and you're willing to give up that many picks, then you pay luxury tax. You just go for it. So I like this. I like a small market team saying we know exactly what we're doing, and we're confident, so we will pay the luxury tax. I like that. And I like a lot of these players, even Jonathan Isaac at $15 million. I think that's good. Franz, 39, Bane at 37. Suggs, it's a little bit expensive just given how much he gets hurt. And Banchero, I guess, is getting $15 million next year, but I suppose his, unless I have that wrong, I'll look at it later and I'll correct it if I'm wrong, but I assume his big extension kicks in next year. Yes, that's right, because he was the same draft class as Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren. So I like it. Good for you, Magic. It's nice to see a team build something cool. Clippers, they're in the luxury tax, but Steve Ballmer doesn't care. I love this video. I love this gif of James Harden shoving Steve Ballmer, because you can tell he does it playfully, but then it's a little so aggressive that you can tell James Harden is like, I actually am trying to end this conversation and I don't know how to do it. This man signs my paychecks, so I don't want to upset him, but I can sort of shove him in a way that seems playful and the conversation will be over. Because look how aggressive it is. He's like, yeah, all right. He's like sending him and he's shoving him and then he's moving. So he's creating distance by shoving him and then walking away himself. That is how you end a conversation. I'm going to end every conversation I ever have with an annoying person, with a drunk person like that. Just shove them, laugh, shove them down. That's how I'm going to do it. So they got Kawhi, James Harden, John Collins, Ivica Zubac, Bogdan Bogdanovic. I think they also have just more guys on big contracts too, because they're paying $194 million. They're in the repeater tax too, so they're paying $20 million in luxury tax this year. Again, Ballmer doesn't care. He's the 8th richest guy in the world. And I think this team is going to be good. I think I've said that every year, but I think listen, I am not the guy that says this team's going to be good every year. I'm a negative Nasty. I'm a nasty little fuck. I'm annoying. I don't even know why you guys watch this show. I am such a despicable little rat. I've never believed in this team. But I believe in them this year. I think this team is good. The Rockets, they're going for it, man. They're in it. They signed Dorian Finney-Smith. They brought back Steven Adams. They brought back Fred VanVleet. They brought in Kevin Durant. I believe Clint Capella is back. They're saying, yeah, we got an insane bench. It's going to be crazy. We'll pay the luxury tax. This year is our year. I think Durant is extension. I know he's extension eligible, but I don't think they've signed an extension with him yet. So I'm kind of curious about that. Because that will be the tell. Are they willing to spend into the luxury tax for the next couple years? Or is it just this 1 year? It's your first time in the luxury tax, I believe. I don't think they were in it last year. But they're saying, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to play around in luxury tax. We're in. We're going to try to win. Because I think this team is good. Is it better than Oklahoma City is the question. What do y'all think? I'm taking the Rockets, dude. I'm taking the Rockets. But for now, I might change my mind. Oh my God, dude. The Lakers, they're repeaters too. Holy smokes. LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, and more on expensive contracts. This is bad news, guys. This is not the move. The Lakers have not given up. Again, they're like the Heat, where it's like, hey, rebuild. It's time to rebuild. But in their heads, they're like, man, do you know how many LeBron James jerseys we sell? That's what's keeping this business afloat. Granted, and then the new owner, Mark Walter, or whatever his name is, Rich McGee, he doesn't care. He just paid $10 billion. He paid the equivalent of $10 billion. He already owned part of the company. But he doesn't care. He's just going to keep spending. But it's never going to be enough. This team sucks. And then next year they're going to be in like triple repeater tax. It's not good. Who blows it up first? The Miami Heat or the LA Lakers? The Celtics. They were going to have like a they were going to have a $250 million tax bill. Their tax bill was going to be more than their roster. So they shaved off everything. They shaved off all their money. They got rid of Drew. They got rid of Porzingis. I think even getting rid of Niang was part of shaving off their tax bill, which I get. You're cutting costs. They got a new owner. They're like, we can't afford this. Who are we? So they're still too high. I think there might be more cuts to come for the Celtics. Unless they're saying, hey, we're going to eat this tax. I don't think they're going to eat this tax bill, man. There's more cuts to come. They're going to cut some costs here. Just because next year they'll still be in the tax. Unless the new owner, the guy who made all of his money through private equity, people are saying it's not private equity. People are saying it's not private equity. And this is sort of bothering me. They're saying it's not private equity. It's a guy who came and acquired his money through private equity. I'm like, there's no way there isn't some sort of investment through private equity here. No one person is this rich that they're going to pay a $30 million tax bill on a team without Jayson Tatum. I'm losing light here. I might just be a silhouette for the next couple slides. I got to end soon anyway. Timberwolves, they're a two-time taxpayer as well, I believe. I think that's how they got in there. No. They're a first-time taxpayer this year. Again, they're writing out these expensive contracts with Rudy Gobert, Anthony Edwards, and then Julius Randle, who re-signed, and Jaden McDaniels, and Naz Reid. They just got a lot of guys. They're paying a lot of money. They've sort of gone the way of, hey, these are our players. We like them. We have their bird rights. We're going to keep re-signing them. We think we can do it. We'll pay the tax. $16 million. Who cares? We're going to, A-Rod's rich. What's the guy's name? Laurie. I feel like rich guys all have the same name. It's like Jack Laurie or Mark Laurie or something like that. I think it's actually Mark. Like Mark Walters, Mark Cuban, Mark Laurie. If you want your son to be rich, name him Mark. Do I have an extra? No, I don't. Okay. I'm a silhouette. Again, another team that I do not believe is good enough to win a championship, but is $29 million. Here, Knicks, you got to enjoy your team right now. You do. Unless James Dolan is richer than I think. Because you got to enjoy your team now, because eventually your tax bill is going to be so high that you're going to lose a couple guys. That's the thing. You got to win the championship now. This is it. You're going to hit an insane tax bill coming up. You're already $29 million in the tax. You're over it. You just re-signed Mikal Bridges. You got one more year, I believe, of Karl-Anthony Towns. OG. It's just not going to work, man. So you got to win. Knicks fans, cheer extra hard for your team this year, because this is it. Luxury tax comes for us all. Okay, the Mavericks, man. It's interesting. Part of me understands the Luka trade, because you're so deep now in the luxury tax that there had to be part of you that says, we can't afford to sign Luka to the Supermax contract. We'll be screwed. So part of me was always a little bit upset, because I was like, wow, Mavs, you're being really cheap on this. But now I'm looking at it and I said, oh, they would have been... They're not a second apron team, but they're very close. And they would have been in the luxury tax for years to come. So there's definitely part of me that understands it, man. You just, eventually, a basketball team becomes unprofitable. So if you're a Mavericks fan, don't be mad at your team for being cheap, because they're spending a lot of money. And the Cavs. Look at the difference between the tax bill. It goes, the Mavericks pay $30 million, The Cavs pay about 5 times that. This is something people aren't talking about. The Cavs, Dan Gilbert, the guy that owns the Rocket Mortgage, that's where he gets his money from. He's the second richest owner in the league. He's paying $148 million, which is as much as the Jazz are paying in their total salaries, payroll. And he's paying that in luxury tax. So how much does Dan Gilbert not give a fuck? $148 million. It's unbelievable. Like, this team, something's going to happen at the end of this year. Because this team is the most expensive roster in the league. We used to say, oh, Boston and Phoenix had these really expensive rosters, but those guys shaved a lot of their money off. Now the Cavs have the most expensive roster in the league. So, like I said with the Knicks fans, hey, you better cheer extra hard. I'm going to tell you with the Cavs fans, Dan Gilbert ain't going to do this forever. Or maybe he is. I don't know. I really don't know. We'll see, though. Okay. Man, it is really warm. I think this is going to be an hour-long show, which is pretty crazy to think about. But I hope you enjoyed it. Be good to your mothers. Eat a corn dog.